Welcome to part 2 of the Tikka project. Wildcat Stock, 2.5 power loophole, 243 for a new shooter. Why the 2.5 power scope? 2.5 power scope has this loophole is 6.5 ounces. Amazing. It has a long eye relief. Usually you use 1 power for every 100 yards, so this would be, say, a classic 250 yard big game rifle. You could stretch that out to 315 or so, which is about the point and shoot distance of this rifle, where it's no more than -4 or +4 over the bore. So this is going to make a nice little rifle, this 243. It's going to weigh about 6 pounds 6 ounces with this scope. Which is right in that sweet spot, I find, of light enough to carry, heavy enough to shoot well. So let's take a look at a few other things. Okay, that's part 1. Okay, what I've done so far to the Wildcat stock is I filled in the bolt recess, because this was a right-handed, they only sell right-handed, and I used a file and put in a left-handed bolt relief cut, so the bolt has a place to go down. Also, one thing that needs to happen is this Spartan adapter is going to go right in there. So it'll have a Spartan adapter for a bipod, so that's going to be really, really good for a new shooter. The metal work, getting ready for glass bedding, I took off the trigger and bolt stop. Bolt stop was here. I got to fill in all these recesses with modeling clay, add release agent. I like using a through bolt system, so that's an M6 bolt. I've got it taped up so that it centers in the stock. I've got 2 layers of tape on the bottom of that recoil lug so that it doesn't go hard against that when you screw it down. And I've also centered the barrel in the channel by using tape. So this tape is basically just to center everything up, and then we'll put the bedding agents in, we will put the stock in, and we'll snug everything up with bolts, because these are long enough to go with bolts. And I simply used a hacksaw to take the heads off of these bolts. This is a 60mm long M6 bolt. That was a 45mm long M6 bolt. Took the heads off and dressed it so that it'll take the bolt for a little bit of tension. Of course, that's a nut. And that's what I meant to say. That's not a bolt, that's a nut. And this is a washer. All 3 of those things you need to use. And of course, we'll also use a nice little washer. So I'm going to glass bed this. This is not a how-to glass bedding, but I think it's kind of interesting to see where we are. The gun will weigh about 5 pounds 13 ounces with rings, which is right in the sweet spot. And the 2.5 power scope only weighs about 7 ounces. So with that scope, this gun is going to weigh 6 pounds 5 ounces, 6 pounds 6 ounces with the scope ready to go, which is, I think, right in the sweet spot of being light enough to carry and being heavy enough to shoot well. So I can't imagine a better rifle for a new shooter. 243, it has a point blank range of about 315 yards. With the 90 Accubons or the 80 grain TTSX bullet, which I can get right up to 3,300 feet per second. Sort of makes it into that mini version of the 25-06. It carries 1,000 foot-pounds to 300 yards or a little more. So I think this is a really good 300-yard setup. The most controversial thing is only using a 2.5 power scope, but the eye box and the eye relief makes it really easy for a new shooter, and the simplicity of not having dots or dialing or even a lever to change the power. I think for a new shooter, when it's new to you and everything is kind of complicated as it is just shooting, I think making things as simple as possible is the way to go. So I'm really pleased. Next time you see this rifle, we'll be out shooting, and we'll see how this project looks. I have to paint the stock, so it might be a week or so, a couple of weeks. But we'll get this gun out there, and we'll see how it works out. Thanks for watching.
So this Wildcat stock saved me 10 ounces. The scope saved me about 6 ounces. So I'm about a pound under, which puts me right in the sweet spot for me. I wouldn't want it much lighter. I don't shoot it as well. Some people do. I've got a friend who can shoot a light rifle really, really well. He's more physically gifted than I am. I like a little bit of weight, especially out in the barrel, and that Tikka has the weight in the barrel. Tikkas are really accurate, and they work all the time. So not a bad way to go for a really pretty good mountain rifle. Regular Tikka, Wildcat stock, both of them super quality. Happy with both of them.